Alright, let's try getting this going again. Apparently there was some confusion over daylight savings time because Europe did it last week like the rest of the world does it, and how we used to do it in America until some genius decided to change it a week and move it to the first week of November after, however many 30, 40 plus years of of doing it the last weekend in October, which always used to work out great when I was a kid because my birthday weekend I got to stay up an extra hour because, well, it would just get the clock moved back. But hopefully we got this all figured out now, and we'll get this fired back up here and get going with game number 2 of this matchup. Alright, so Darth Link is there in the chat. That's one. NoLimit is still MIA. We'll give him a couple minutes here. In the meantime, we'll go spy on Mr. Yellow and Old Schooler, Johnny Chew Matlush, playing a sealed game. Oh, sealed deck. Activate, forfeit, activate, draw, activate, draw. Oh, right, it's a league game or sealed game, so there's no chat. But always interesting to see some of the cards that used to be staples of decks, like Traffic Control, that nobody has touched in years. This used to be a pretty important card in the early goings of the game. Is really one of the only ways to put cards back consistently. During your control phase, return any number of cards from your hand to top of your use pile. So all that stuff that just wasn't going to be useful, or all those high destiny cards that you wanted to stack back together, you just drop them all in a pile, recirculate, and then go to town. Set up that big surprise assault or whatever you had going on. You just stack 4 or 5 high destiny cards together, recirculate. Nowadays, there's just enough useful used interrupts and things like that that you can play, a couple of them together in a turn, and high destiny characters and things like that that you don't ever need to run that kind of stuff. Just take a quick peek back in the chat. Nope, they're still not ready. No battle order, no paying to drain. Instead, he's just going to drain for 2 at Kashyyyk. Darth Link is still here, though, so at least that's good news. More ties. He's just going to stack up the system pretty nicely, fortify his drain of 2, but unfortunately, oh, Mr. Yellow's got a Corellian Corvette. Look at that. And it gets barriered. He's got a second Corvette. Broken. A third Corvette? What? That's absolutely crazy. That they're uncommon ones from Premier, so to have them all get pulled in 4 or 5 packs that he opened. He's going to try and Talon roll the X-Wing, which was just canceled. This is Premier New Hope Series 1. So yeah, so he opened 4 packs of Premier, I think, for that. So he got 3 Corvettes in 4 packs. I think he must have hacked the system or something. Uh-oh, he's got Baru Stew. He's going to get the Activate Force and initiate battle this turn. And he's got 4 ability to get a Battle Destiny. This could be rough. And he draws a few maneuvers. Well, that 6 is going to take down at least 2 of these non-unique ties, because their forfeits are all 4. Oh, and Darkside draws only a 1. Now you're looking at an 11 power difference as well, so he's going to have to peel a few cards. Oh, he's going to play Tequil to switch Destiny draws. Oh, these old school cards. So now Lightside just has to forfeit 6 and Darkside 1. See if our featured match. Nope, still not ready. Oh, that would explain why I'm getting. Just got an email with like, you've got 12 private messages. I'm like, why do I have 12 private messages on the PC forums? It's people forwarding me all the deck lists from Worlds just to make sure we didn't miss any. I was like, great. I don't know how I got elected for that, but we will make sure we have all the lists accounted for and posted. In the meantime, let's go see what happens, what Old Schooler's got up his sleeve with those 13 cards in hand and 10 force active. Oh, he's going ground. With Chow Beacon and Dacha. Dacha. There's 2 force from each player's force pile, but Chow Beacon subtracts that, making it only 1 from each player's force pile. So we can deploy him and use up Mr. Yellow's last force. Power +2 when he's not on Tatooine. Interesting. So another one of those characters that had deploy only but may move elsewhere text that they quickly realized after a few sets just was terrible. It's like, let's just give these guys deploy modifiers where we want them ideally to go, and then we can just make it more expensive to deploy them elsewhere, but not make it so that they can't deploy elsewhere. I always felt like they should have gone back and done some errata to, like, Commander Luke or Captain Han or those kinds of things, to take Son of Skywalker, take some of those deployment restrictions off the cards, making them more useful. Hey, looks like they're finally ready to start. Alright, we'll have to bow out the end of this epic sealed deck game here. Looks like these guys are going to get blown up in space, though, because he doesn't have any more ships that he deployed, and he can't move. So, but let's get to our featured match, our main event. We've got NoLimit playing Diplo against Darth Link playing Endor Operations. Certainly not what anybody guessed or speculated earlier when we were talking about it in the chat for what either player might play. We got 3 effect Diplo using squadron assignments. I must be allowed to speak strike planning. So probably similar to what we witnessed, I believe it was Crypto using the other day, using the General Calrissian tech to move him and flip the plans faster. Meanwhile, for Darkseid, we've got Established Control, which will pull probably Fondor, possibly Korlag, I guess, if you want something in the middle, but probably Fondor. A little extra activation at the docking bay. We've got Combat Response for matching ships, and we've got the Darth Maul Helper effect. Download Darth Maul's lightsaber, start of opponent's control phase, may relocate Maul. The Taco Bill card, I believe. I'm sure Bill will be very excited to see his card being used. NoLimit plays a Darklighter spin combo from hand, grabs the Falcon, so that just further reinforces that. He'll use strike planning, get General Lando, and match up, and he doesn't need to match it anymore. He got the All Wings combo to do it, so Darth Link gets Fondor out from reserve deck, had Endor Shield in hand. Rather have it in hand than in your force pile, but ideally, you never like getting cards in your hand that you can pull. But it's certainly better than missing it turn 1, that's for sure. And he's going to force push. Wow, he's being very aggressive here. If he's got the right combination of cards, though, he can go blow up the Tantive, and that would force the droids to the site, which would then completely negate the whole Lando Falcon trick. You could deploy the Falcon to the system. You'd have to land it at the site, and then put. I'm not sure you can even land it at the sites. I forget how that all works. So I guess you could land it, and then you got to take it back off. Yeah, it gets extremely complicated. He's going for the Slave 1 blow up. He's got Slave 1. He's going to match for Fett for 6. He'll use Endor Shield and get Ozzel, who will be for free. That'll give him at least 2 Battle Destiny, and then he can exchange a card with Boba Fett when he initiates battle, and he can go get Imperial Command, which would then give him a 3rd Battle Destiny. And all he's trying to do is be greater than... Oh, wow. That's not even the R2-3PO combo. That's just... Okay, so these droids are definitely going away. Didn't even notice that at first, but yeah, you may not necessarily even need to get the Imperial Command. I mean, you might as well get it just to be on the safe side, or for the counter beat. But unless he doesn't have anything in hand that he wants to get rid of, but he should draw greater than 4. We would expect, and that's going to take the guy and the ship down. He will exchange a card though, just to be on the safe side, I guess. I mean, he'll take advantage of the opportunity to go get any card he wants out of his 33 card reserve deck. Just whether or not it'll be the Imperial Command to get that third Battle Destiny. Now, because of the errata to the Diplo objective, until the start of your first turn, TANF 4 may be forfeited to cancel all remaining battle damage. That was specifically done for this package in mind. Originally, it had only worked against Imperial Entanglements, but once Slave 1 and FET and everything, once FET came out and kind of made this package pretty easy to pull off, it had to get errated. Otherwise, Diplo was getting blown out and taking significant overflow on their first turn that they really shouldn't have been. So it was a good fix. He does get the command. He plays the command and draws a couple Destiny. Meanwhile, NoLimit's going to use his 2 strike playing pulls to get Calrissian and General Kraken. And Darth Link is going to draw 2 5s so far and a 1. So he draws 11, which is definitely more than he needed to. He's going to clear R2. Trying to figure out exactly why it's this R2. While present with a Scomplink, adds 1 for Starfighter. So he adds the maneuver and stuff of Starfighters. I guess if he wanted to move around with other ships, the R2 droid could then ship dock over or something like that to any Starfighter, and then just take off and run all the way to Alderaan. But yeah, I don't. Maybe we'll see something later in the deck that will make that more explanatory. But what I'm seeing right there, maybe you guys in chat know what he's thinking with using that R2 as opposed to the other droid, unless you really wanted 3PO for something else. I can't think of much else that would be beneficial. Now that R2 only adds to activation, I believe, when he's at a site, right? Well, present with the Scomplink. Okay, no, he doesn't. He does. So the ship would have a Scomplink. So he gets 1 extra icon. If you don't get blown up first turn, he gets an extra icon. Yeah, it doesn't seem like... I guess 1 extra force icon could be beneficial. But I don't know that I would go that far to do it. Alright, so NoLimit only getting 6 force right now. Uses the objective, gets Alderaan out. He's going to use Speak now and get the farm. And obviously we'll have to see how he rebounds from this. Now the advantage, of course, is that he's got a huge card advantage in hand. Darth Link basically had to overcommit his first turn to do all that. He had to, deploy multiple cards from hand. He had to force push, put in more cards from hand and use pile and force pile in order to do it. So he has just a 3-card hand remaining. So his turn 2 really probably won't have much else going on. Um, it's just gonna be like activate, activate, draw, activate, pay to drain, draw, something like to that effect, um, which will give No Limit a little time to catch up. But the question is what is No Limit gonna have up his sleeve now to go deliver those plans? Yeah, I mean, obviously, I get potentially later along down the road, that Falcon becomes higher maneuver and hyperspeed and whatnot. But did you necessarily need it to be? I don't know. It's personal preference, I guess. Somebody just trying something different, trying to tank up, and make a Super Falcon kind of thing. Yep. So he's going to deploy the Falcon with Calrissian. And then he's going to pay one to land. So yeah, he can do this. He can get out, and Lando can pick up the plans, and then he can do the double move with the Falcon, where it takes off to the system and then moves from the system to Alderaan. Um, Lando just has to live this turn. Lando doesn't get a battle destiny here. Um, so if any of these three cards are a character who would be able to draw battle destiny there, uh, obviously that could kill. Now, obviously he could put somebody else in the ship. He could throw General Kraken in there and just take off and move and just piece something together. Um, but then obviously that just makes the deck a little weaker going forward. He's got Tarkin. Tarkin draws if unable to otherwise, and he's going to back him up with Baron. Baron being a leader, so Tarkin would get 2 battle destiny, and that also gives him 6 ability because the site says total ability of 6 or more is needed there. So he's just going to go all out again and really just try and ruin No Limit's day here. He's got to draw greater than 7 with 2 draws in order to do that. There's a 3. There's Baron's ship that he won't be using anytime soon. And another 3. So he only gets 6. So that's just going to kill Calrissian, I believe. And he'll take 1 overflow. Should be any 1 card from hand probably at this point. He pitches Mon Mothma. It's reasonable. Probably don't really have a place to put her. Yep. And then he can draw those 2 cards to try and get reload. But it's gone pretty rough for No Limit so far, but he's still in this game, and that's the important thing to remember. He can't let himself get too far on tilt. He's got to stay focused, and he's a strong player, so I'm sure he's not getting on tilt here. But when you're in a game like this and it starts off this rocky, sometimes players the pressure they force issues and they force situations that they don't necessarily need to. Just take a deep breath and just think it through and figure out what your next move is. Yeah, it's a pretty impressive hand that Darth Link had there, but we'll see what else he's got left now. There's evac control. Obviously we saw in the crypto matchup he used evac control and actually stacked both Lando and the Falcon on it, which really messed his game plan up. No Limit opted not to do that this game, and instead to start the farm puller and just kind of rely on finding evac control sometime throughout the game. And might have suffered a little bit as a result of that. No, No Limit's going to use Chewy. Okay, so Chewy gets a used pile search from I Must Be Allowed to Speak. He also does. He is in episode 7 Chewy here, so he does make the maneuver 6 and makes the ship immune to less than 5. So at least it's somewhat together. Has some strength and protection to it. Doesn't get a battle destiny, but he's got 4 force left, so he could, deploy a second pilot with it. Not that he needs to, because again, it's just gonna take off to Tatooine and then use the double move text and move to Alderaan, where it's highly unlikely that Darkseid has any type of ship that can deploy without presence, or presence of the Force and a ship that could deploy and destroy it. But in the meantime now, Darth Link has gotten a round battle plan, and he's got trains of 2 and 1. Then he's going to continue to apply the pressure against Diplo, and then can probably, now that he's activating 12, he can reload his hand a little bit more as well. He went so far off kilt too, did Darth Link, that we don't necessarily know exactly which version of Endor Ops and stuff he's playing, whether he's trying to flip or not. We don't know if he's got ominous rumors or established secret base or any of that stuff going on there. Gravity Shadow would be game ending, I think, if he had that right there. He does complete the plans, delivers those. He will get to upload a card out of the 24 that he's got remaining. See what he can find that can help deal with either of these situations. Looking at the cards he did stack on evac, we've got a Young Skywalker, a Might of the Republic, which would get Leia or Bail most likely. Leia at this point, Bail's not really all that practical. Might be a Profundity or something in their deck still, but it doesn't really help Bail too much. And a Rebel Barrier. Early life force totals, Darth Link's 43, No Limits at 38, so he's got a 5-card advantage at this point right now. I mean, some of these cards are stacked over here on evac, but if they don't battle, they can't get picked up, so. No Limit's really taking his time trying to figure out exactly which card he wants to get. And he really has to also figure out what he's going to do about this Draina 2, about this ship. What else does he have that he can deploy? This can move back pretty easily next turn, but what else is he going to have to deploy with it? He got a Gold Eater and Gold 1, Profundity, Bright Hope. What other ships does he have? A weapon. He's playing squadron assignments. Anything with an X-Wing cannon, maybe? Unlikely, but it's always fun to speculate. Yeah, this is a live game, Jets or Dim. We're sitting in the observation lounge on Jemp watching along with 20 other people, but we are live streaming it and discussing it in the Twitch chat, since you can't discuss games in the OCS or league matches on Jemp. The chat is nullified. Oh, he's going to pull Firepower. Firepower will let him retrieve 1 because he deployed and Chewy and did not battle. We'll see if... Nope, he doesn't want to waste a shield pull on aim high. So Darth Link gets Force Pushback. It's 1 card, which is the important part. It's also a Destiny 5 card, so having an extra 5 in your deck certainly never hurts. The text on the card won't be able to be used again because you can only use it once per game, but top decks Owen and Baru, top decks Gold Eater and Gold 1 to the Draina 2 at Tatooine. So there was the ship he didn't take. And he's going to lose 1 more at the Dune Sea. Top decks Zeb Aurelios. This may very well maybe very similar or the same deck that we saw Cryptofish using the other day. I know these guys work together fairly often. Now we've got the Emperor Shuttle coming down as well. He's going to pull the Golden Rod Shield to make him pay extra to deploy the Emperor. If he's got the Emperor, wow, he's got the Emperor and that 2-card package there. Let's see if he wants to land the shuttle and like move. Yep. He's going to land the shuttle and do the inverse of what NoLimit did the previous turn. So I'm sure we'll see him find some better ground characters, and then we'll see this little Space Force go back up at some point in time. Interestingly enough, he moves Slave 1 over to Endor. So the, obviously they're not battling or anything this turn, and he could just reconsolidate both ships next turn if he wants to. But the text on Tatooine says, unless you're independent or droid starship here, you may not draw more than 1 battle destiny here. So the Emperor shuttle with all these guys on it would, I said it ordinarily would get 3 battle destiny. I would only get 1 because of the text on Tatooine without Slave 1 or another ship, which she certainly could have. Zuckuss and Mist Hunter or Dengar and Punishing One or something. Bossk and Houndstooth. So. NoLimit's looking for a way to stabilize here and get his objective flipped. In order for him to do that, rebels have to control 2 battlegrounds, a site and a system. Chewie's not a rebel, so he's not going to count, but he could put, General Kraken or something on the Falcon. It's the only character we know he has in hand. He could have other characters as well that he could put as a pilot on the Falcon or a passenger on the Falcon. Move that back to Tatooine and deploy someone to, Mos Eisley or the Cantina. That would allow him to flip, and then, draw some more cards, and then see how Darth Link responds. He's had the, the early opening, throwing some haymakers pretty early, but he didn't cripple NoLimit here. He just kind of knocked him off balance a little bit. All right, there's Kraken. So the ship's immune to less than 5, gets a battle destiny draw. Maneuver 6 if you want to spin. Now he's looking for a rebel to put on the ground. We know 1 Luke is stacked on evac control already, but there should be another 1 or 2 young Skywalkers in this deck. Possibly some other characters like Leia and Corran Horn, Obi. You already lost Owen and Beru. You already lost Lando. Commander Nara could be in here. Kanan Jarrus could be in here. So there's a number of characters left that he still has. Bail Organa. He doesn't do much on the ground, but he is a rebel. All of his text primarily relates to being in space. While aboard a Corvette adds 1 battle destiny and it may not be targeted by weapons, is where his text is usually most applicable. But this part of his text works anywhere. force drains at battlegrounds with your Alderaanian, including himself, are +1. He moves Kraken to the passenger spot on the Falcon, so he can deploy Ray. All right. Ray's going to fish out any card from the used pile here. He's got there's like 9 options to choose from. So hopefully he'll either find some type of evasion card, whether it's a dodge or narrow escape or something. And then also draw the bottom card of his force pile as well. That leaves him 4. He needs 1 to move the Falcon back. We could see it's a trap, I guess, as well as another card. See how many force he wants to leave. That might tell us more about what evasion card he's playing here. And he does pull aim high this time to stop the 1 force retrieval from firepower. Darthlink has all the answers again and plays a Dark Time to activate 1. So he will have the 1 force available to spend to retrieve the prepared defenses, giving 1 more card back to his life force. Just further extending his lead. 37 to 25 now. They both have a 6-card hand, so I stopped counting those. And then we got drains of 2 and 1. NoLimit's going to top deck. He loses Perimeter Scan and Hujix. And he top decks a Might of the Republic as well. He did save 3 force, so it very well could be it's a trap. Does Darthlink have the counter for that as well? I think you would just see NoLimit concede at that point. Now Darthlink's going to start weighing out his options here. You know, what does he want to do with these guys on the ground? This little shuttle package here, he can put everybody aboard and take off. But then he's going to also has to move. Otherwise he's getting outpowered and being limited to only 1 battle destiny. Or he can leave everybody there and start moving some people over to the farm, or get to Mos Eisley. Better off just might actually be faster. Well, it's the same distance. It might be cheaper to put everybody aboard and take off, and then next turn just land. But I guess it'll come down to what other characters he's got left. We haven't seen any Mauls yet. We haven't seen any Vaders yet. Blizzard 4, P59. He should have some other options for ground. And obviously, since he is playing the Maul card, I'd be very curious to see which version of Maul he is using. Excuse me. He's just going to go to move phase. He's going to put the Emperor on the shuttle. And take off. So he's going to leave Vader. Sorry, he's going to leave Tarkin and Baron behind. And then Slave 1 moves back over. So that's 11 power, 3 battle destiny. The shuttle's completely immune to attrition. Slave 1's immune to less than 5. Light side's only representing 1 battle destiny here, but they could easily add Solo and get a second destiny. Rey's also adding 1 to the total. They also, of course, have 3 cards stacked on evac that they could use as well. Dark side could short range fighters combo, though. Good possibility that they are running at least, I would say, at least 2 copies of that in a deck that starts combat response. That would get around evac, get him a second destiny draw, and this is maneuver 5. Yeah, it's just maneuver 5. Still cracks the immunity on the Falcon, though. Draw 5, spin a 5, and then draw a 5. You can clear 2 characters out. Oh, looks like we're going to get a revert here. Darth Link passed before hit the wrong button. Didn't mean to pass during his draw phase. Wanted to draw a few more cards, and NoLimit is going to allow him to go back and do that. Good sportsmanship. He's got to figure out the mechanics of what spot they have to revert to. There they go. And Darth Link's going to draw up to 12. Is he going to go over 12? Yep, he's going to go over 12. He's going to go way over 12. Diplo's a tough deck to squeeze stuff like Grimtosh into. It already has a lot of cards that it wants to play. And with NoLimit only having a 7-card hand and already losing a handful of cards, it's a safe play. Especially if there's stuff in there you need. You know, if you look through your reserve deck and you know kind of what might be in your force pile, you know, drawing to find some of the cards that you need. Certainly worthwhile there. NoLimit's going to do the Cantina Shuffle. He's going to use the Mos Eisley game text. During your control phase, move free from here directly to Cantina or vice versa. So he's going to move from Mos Eisley into the Cantina and then drain for 3 because Bail adds 1, where you have an Alderaanian character, including himself. Darth Link is going to lose 2 copies of We Must Accelerate Our Plans from hand, and Maul Strikes off the top of his reserve deck. Chewie and Kraken switch seats now, giving the Falcon a little bit more power. And then he's gonna look for sight with the objective, let his opponent verify, see what those 6 cards are. Falcon does require them to be piloting, but Rey is piloting, so it still has its immunity and whatnot. So if he does pick up a card off of evac control, it's 11 to 8 here. NoLimit also has to figure out how exactly long he can push his luck with just Bail Organa down here as well. Obviously, he's going to need some backup. Especially now that Darth Link has a 14-card hand. Looks like they have disabled the action timer. That is important. As we've seen in other games and heard talk about on the forums, the action timer, if you don't advance the game state in GEMP, just talking in chat and things like that, do not do it. That's obviously things you have to do within the game, whether you're changing phases, activating force, some type of action. For 5 minutes, GEMP will automatically time you out. It'll assume you're AFK or got disconnected or something like that, and it will time you out and end the game. So both players agree to disable that action timer, so NoLimit can try and figure out exactly what it is that he wants to do with his turn here. Obviously, it'll still run his personal clock. He's got to be careful about that, but they both still have over 40 minutes remaining on their timers, so they don't have to start worrying about that too much just yet. You know, 14 force is certainly enough to deploy 2 to 3 characters and battle and move, or however he wants to do it, 2 to 3 characters and ships or things like that. But he certainly has to. It's very dependent on what's in his hand, of course, that we can't see. So we're just gonna have to wait patiently and see what NoLimit comes up with here. Excuse me. There's my old man wheezing. Somebody was talking about me being a cranky old man, which I am, and I'm okay with that. But now I have the wheezing cough to go with it. All right, he figured it out. Young Skywalker to the Dune Sea. Gets him a used pile search with I must be allowed to speak. That would be his second pull with that. He still has Leia's remaining. And Lando's technically, if he has a second Lando or somehow retrieves him. Okay, and there's Leia. Whether he took Leia from his used pile or not, he's got her now. So Leia in this situation, with an Imperial leader, he can add a destiny to power or attrition. So if his destinies are decent enough here, he can pick up a card off evac control, limiting both players to 1 destiny, and then add a destiny to attrition and hopefully clear both of these guys. His objective is also flipped, so he is adding 3 to the total, so that seems pretty likely. Because as we've seen with Diplo, it's number of battlegrounds occupied by rebels of ability less than 4. Your total battle destiny is plus X, so it adds to the total, so it gets around evac because these limit the individual draws from being modified. So you got Kraken, Bail, Leia. So right now his total is plus 3. So even a character destiny draw of a 1 or a 2 plus a destiny to attrition should be more than enough to get past Tarkin's 6 forfeit and force Baron to have to be lost along with him. Should potentially also win him a battle. 9 to 6, and if he wins a battle, he can retrieve a force with the Diplo objective. Be curious to see if Darth Link pulls the Secret Plan shield to make him pay for it here as well. So he does pick up a card. He grabs the Rebel Barrier. Nope, Darth Link does not make him pay for it. Ooh, he draws Obi for Battle Destiny. If there's any other characters in there, that Attrition Destiny might not get home. He draws Boba Fett, which Leia's immune to, isn't she? She's immune to less than 3. Yep. So that's bad for both players there. Oh, there's a 5 for the Attrition Destiny, so dark side's going to lose both characters and win the battle and retrieve a force, and the light side's going to lose nothing. So it was a good battle for NoLimit. This is exactly what he needed to get himself back in the game here. Get some board control back, some board position. We know he's got the barrier in hand. And if we think he's got the it's a trap as well, because he saved 3/4, at least bluffing it previously, pulling the secret plan shield probably would have stopped the retrieval. He probably would have not paid for it. And the Falcon runs away. Darkside's going to play Masterful to go get a Dejarik or Hologram. We'll see if it's a Gick or if it's a Phantom Menace. It's a Phantom Menace. We know Darthlink does have a second Tarkin though in his deck, so or maybe in his hand. He could easily deploy that on the shuttle. This turn, he could also send Tarkin to the Cantina. I highly expect to see Darth Maul this turn. The question is where's Maul going to end up going? In front of Luke with the Phantom Menace, where he's completely immune, and hopefully he can clear this site, or to go draw out whatever cards Bale's got going on. Drain for 2, loses both copies of Tatooine Celebration from hand. I guess he's realizing that ship has sailed, and he's not going to be able to stand fast at this system very well. Alright, it is Lone Hunter. That was the Maul I expected. I kind of thought we'd be seeing. And he does draw out the barrier. And that does get blocked for the remainder of turn. Darth Maul Lone Hunter cancels game text of Amidala Obi Qui-Gon, while a lone blaster deflection is canceled and his weapon destiny draws can't be modified or canceled by opponent. Maul gets his double-bladed lightsaber. We also see an image of the Dark Lord come down to make this drain here -1. Bale still adds, so Bale will make it +1. Oh, and there is Tarkin number 2. Okay, so Tarkin's going to try and go after Bale now. He drew out the barrier with the Maul and had a second character behind him and 1 force left to spend. Oh, a second barrier by NoLimit. And that will keep Bail Organa alive, live to see another day. That was pretty clutch. NoLimit definitely needed that. Now we can see Bale bounce out using the Mos Eisley text. He'll get a drain at 2 here. Leia is still on the table, so that'll be a drain of 1. And then a drain of 1 in space as well. So he'll do 4 damage to Darth Link this turn coming up. Oh, wow. He opts to land the shuttle and take the Emperor out of the shuttle. So if he does do the Cantina shuffle, he's blocking the drain. And does he play Force Lightning? I guess we'll find out if Bale moves over here. He can play Force Lightning and zap Bale. He does pull Secret Plans now to slow down any potential retrieval. Would he move Maul with match? Start of opponent's control phase, maybe relocate Maul. That'd be a risky play. He certainly could do it. He's got Phantom Menace out, and he may be considering that, which is why he put the Phantom Menace down. He could bounce out here and block this drain if he wanted to. But, you know, his opponent has 7 cards in hand. He activated 13 Force. I don't know that you really want to expose Maul necessarily like that, or that he even needs to. He's ahead right now. He may want to save that for until he sets things up a little bit more, possibly, you know, to then duel, you know, Maul strikes young Skywalker or something. I mean, we don't know what he's got in his hand. He might have it all in his hand already. But I wouldn't do it that early. And he doesn't. He passes. We're in deploy phase, and he drained. So it was drain of 1 at Fondor, which got a Dark Time off the top. And then a drain of 1 at the Dune Sea, got a Tarkin's Orders off the top. And now both players have again verified No Limit's 6-card reserve deck. Yep. Bale's definitely in beast mode right now. But Bale's running out of places to run and hide. And I think No Limit might be running out of guys with weapons that, you know, could go challenge the Emperor to get him off that site. He could kill the shuttle, at least. If he had, you know, Obi-Wan or somebody. Captain Cassian Andor. Cancels a Destiny draw. Cal Alder, who requires Force be used to swing weapons. That's pretty great. Opponent must first use 1 Force to fire a weapon at same site. Also stops Ellis from moving. He's going to throw Blount down there to get 1 more site to add to his total. This is where Diplo does best, when it really can spread. So this is pretty interesting. And Cassian cancels a battle or weapon destiny by placing character and lost pile out of play. So he wouldn't have any force available to swing the lightsaber because of Cal, and if he cancels the battle destiny, then light side loses nothing, and dark side would have to lose at least Tarkin. And since they are adding 1, 2, 3, 4 to their total now, there's a fairly decent chance that they'd be able to draw higher than Tarkin's 6 forfeit again. Oh, Darth Link has an I Have You Now, so he'll get a second battle destiny that will force No Limit to pick up a card off evac. He'll take the young Skywalker. He can no longer cancel the destiny draw now because he picked up the card off evac. So he either had the choice of using Cassian and canceling one. It looks like he's going to save that possibly till later. We'll see who else he loses instead. That's a 3, which is +4, so it's a 7. That will be enough to get rid of Maul. Tarkin will get to stay at least, doesn't clear both guys. Darkseid draws a 5, which is either going to be Cassian or Bale. It's the only ones who forfeit for 5. And the battle was a tie, so there's no force retrieval. They both had 16. Interesting. He does decide to lose Cassian. When he does, Cassian lets him activate a force. And Darth Link has no choice but to lose Maul in the situation. Well, he's got a choice, just not a good choice to lose both. So he'll lose Maul. That'll send the Phantom Menace used. So now he's got a 7 he can almost get to next turn. Can't quite get all the way there, but he can get most of the way there. And that'll put the lightsaber in the lost pile. Now you can put this effect out of play to deploy the lightsaber from the lost pile. And the Falcon moves back, not scared of just Boba Fett and Ozzel. Luke moves over. Leia's going to stay behind, I would imagine, to threaten the extra drain, have the extra sight to get the extra +1 with the Diplo objective. Now the pressure's starting to shift to Darth Link for him to actually start doing something before NoLimit gets more of his characters on the table. He's going to have to find a way to address this. He does still get a drain of 2 here with the Emperor, so at least that's working in his favor. But he's got to find another character to put in the cantina to try and clear some of these guys out. I would imagine he's got multiple copies of Maul floating around. Oh, there's an arrow escape. That's a good way to move people away as a react. He pitches that from hand, though, so he must have some other type. When he top decks a barrier. So NoLimit must have some other type of battle cards. I had a feeling we'd be seeing that guy again pretty soon, and there he is. He's going to lose the effect, get the lightsaber back, and now we're going to find out if NoLimit has another Hoojix, I think. He's going to take an Admiral. There is no Admiral, so he will shuffle. So he shuffled that 7 around. So now he's got a 1 in 9 chance of just randomly drawing it, as opposed to it being the 7th card that he wouldn't be able to get to quite this turn. Keep your eyes open. Yeah, I was wondering about that. I remember seeing that in Crypto's deck list from the other day, if he had that. So that will keep the weapons from being used. No point man to cancel it. Ray's going to draw a card from the bottom of Force Pile. And we're kind of right back in the situation where we were again, where we're wondering if one or both dark side characters are going to end up being lost this battle. He draws 1. He draws a Dooku. That's just going to get rid of Cal Alder, I think. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's just going to get rid of Tarkin. So 2 low draws for both players, and that battle did not live up to the hype. But Beast Mode Bail still keeps on living. He did not pick up a card. He still has the 1 card left. And we have to wonder about this Slave 1 situation. Does he just move Slave 1 away? Does he stand fast, and draw a few cards? Does he have a spin in hand where he can just try and clear the whole thing right now? It's probably best that he moves. He does not move. He opts to just draw. NoLimit plays Might of the Republic, does not find anybody in there. So he's got a 5 right where he can track it now, 12 cards down. And Darthlink is just drawing a few cards. It was risky leaving those guys both there. And Darthlink will cycle a 5 of his own back. As we said, he's adding 4 to the total, so it would be fairly easy to beat the immunity on Slave 1 and get rid of Boba Fett and Ozzel. In the meantime, NoLimit will get to drain for 1 and 1. Is Kraken an Alderaanian? I always forget. No. Unless it's one of those special rules. Darthlink, drain a 1. Loses the Masterful Move combo from hand. And loses a Force Field from hand. A Force Field's a pretty safe bet. Probably not going to need that card anytime soon. I think the only guy with a weapon you might have seen was Chewie, and Chewie's in space. Bale does move out away from Maul. Do we have a Force Lightning? Oh, he's going to tunnel vision. He activated to the 5, so it is a 5 sitting on top. So if he does have another character to deploy in battle here, he's going to draw a 5, which then becomes a 9. And he's going to tunnel vision, so he's probably going to find a character. And that would get rid of Emperor or the shuttle. One or the other would have to go. He's going to pull There Is No Try. So he's got something he's afraid of his opponent sensing, and at least wants to punish him for doing it. Interesting. There's Solo to the Falcon. Kraken moves to a passenger slot, sitting with Chewie. So now we've got Solo in space, so he's got the second Destiny there, so they're both drawing 2. There is 1 card left on evac. This could be a weird situation where we see spins and Jyn Erso as well to block the drain at the cantina. So NoLimit's really doing a good job here of stabilizing the board and crawling himself back into this game. Darthlink didn't need to do too much more damage to get him below that 8 threshold here. He's down to 14. He's only got 3 in hand. But he's really struggling to find a way here to get much damage through. No, Vader hasn't shown up yet. No Destiny draws, hasn't been deployed. So a Vader Enforcer canceling Leia's game text or something like that could be pretty rough. But here's the space battle we were anticipating. We'll see what exactly happens here. So he does evac, and he picks up that last card. They're both going to be limited to 1. We'll see if either player has a spin here. We know Lightside's going to draw a 5, which is going to become a 9, which is going to clear both guys. And they're going to spin on top of it. So they're going to have a 15 for a total battle destiny, which is going to clear the whole thing. one raise there. Adds 1. 16. Sorry. Dark side's just going to draw. They blind draw a 7. Light side wins the battle. So they can pay and retrieve 1 if they choose to. And they will get the all wings back. They're going to forfeit Ray. Solo still adds destiny with Ray or Chewie, so he still gets the 2 destiny there. But Darkseid is now completely out of space, or off the table for space. I mean, you got the shuttle still there, but Emperor and the shuttle's not going to do much against that Falcon right now. And the Jin's blocking the ground drains. Luke moves over. And Leia moves as well to the farm, to a site where she can drain for 2 if Bail somehow manages to live. Well, Darkseid can activate just about back to that 7. They would have something on top of it, so they could leave 2 destiny as far as they could go. So it'd be something in a 7. So depending on what they've got with those 10 cards in hand, someone like P59 could shoot someone and draw a 7 from Battle Destiny. That'd be pretty good to go clear out this Leia Blount site. Could see a Dr. E combo as well. We haven't seen him at all. And Darthlink will take all 16, so we don't know what that top card is. Actually, we should. It's the card he should have just drawn. Oh no, he drew the 7 for Destiny. Yeah, I don't think we know what that top card is. Seder, No Limit won the first game by 8. Oh, looks like he activated too much. And No Limit's going to let him fix it. He hasn't done anything else. He's still in his activate phase, so... So he's going to leave 2 more. So possibly for a sniper? Oh, Choke Vader. Leia's got what? May not be choked, right? Yeah. He can choke Blount. And then Leia dies to the Battle Destiny or attrition. Ah, Boba Fett. Boba Fett will add a Battle Destiny if with Vader. Boba Fett's going to get barriered from the lost pile by Solo. And then he's going to play Might to shuffle. His deck around. Darthlink is going to grab it this time to take 1 more card away to keep him from tracking a 5. Back for next turn. And he does get to verify every card, basically every card that that No Limit has left. So Darthlink now knows exactly what No Limit's working with here for the remainder of this game. He's only got 2 cards in hand, so shouldn't be too many surprises. Oh yeah, right, guys. That was the crazy throne room hunt down game where there were no battlegrounds on the table, and they both just kept draining. And Darth Link forgot to use young Skywalker to retrieve a couple cards because he thought Luke had to be at a battleground to do that. All right, so Blount's going to get choked. And then Vader's going to draw Destiny against Leia. See if he set up a couple of fives or anything. Nope. That was a 1. So he could possibly lose this bat. Oh, Leia's immune to that. Leia's immune to less than 3. 3, 4, 5, 6. Vader's not immune to that. So daughter slaps daddy in the face and says, ain't going down like that. That was a bad battle for Darkseid. And now Boba Fett's going to be stuck there by himself, not getting a Destiny. And with no Sith Fury or anything to really challenge that. Oh, he did have a dark time. So that's what it was. He was looking at the bat, subtracting 1, but it still would have been a 5, and Vader still would have died. He goes and looks for the Force Lightning. I guess just to confirm that that was still the 7. Oh, he's going to Force Lightning young Skywalker. There's the 7. That's going to take Luke off the table. He doesn't have a Destiny draw now. He could battle just to win the battle 4-3. Neither player would get to draw in that situation. He makes light side lose 1 more card. Yep, he doesn't have a card to draw, but take 1 battle damage, no limit. Darth Link will do damage any way he can at this point. And Captain Antilles gets top decked here. It's 1 less character too, so that's it's only 1 card, but it sometimes some of these games come down to just 1 force. So getting rid of any card any way you can should be could be helpful. I want to see Luke get fried by the 7. Yeah, Luke got fried by the 7. Good call. Yeah, she's got diplomatic immunity. No Danny Glover around to revoke it. Looks like No Limit overactivated a little bit. And he's going to go back and fix it. So we've got 20 people watching in the GEMP chat. We got 15 people. I told you I'm old. I'm okay with that. That's a classic, though. I mean, I'm sure that's been on like TNT like 45 times. Oh, wait, that's right. They don't watch that channel either. Never mind. My bad. Netflix? I don't know. There's that new Lethal Weapon TV show. Maybe that inspired a new generation to go back and watch all those original movies. Yeah, I mean, Leia can beat up on Boba if he has a second character to put with her to get more power. But I mean, he draws a 4 or 5, which becomes an 8. It's 11-6. Fett covers 6 and forfeit. So Darth Link might peel 1 or 2 cards. I think it's probably the worst case scenario. And Lightside gets to retrieve a force, of course, for winning the battle. But if they would need to have a second character in those 2 cards, to add any potential really for overflow, and then Darthlink would have to not have a Gick in his 9-card hand. No, we haven't seen Gick yet, so. Nah, that Fet doesn't draw if unable to. That Fet adds one when he's piloting Slave 1 or with Vader. Adds one Battle Destiny with Vader or while piloting Slave 1. So he doesn't draw if unable to. $17, $9, $26, $26 to $16 are the life force counts right now. Oh, he reverted to activate one less and then ended up activating it anyway. Darthlink top decks 1, top decks Arica. Well, that's good. Stop drawing characters for Destiny, but obviously I'm sure he'd like to have characters in hand right now. I'm sure he'd love to have something to get rid of Jin Ursa, whether it be he had to burn the Force Lightning. And there's Nara going off planet, allowing him to draw a card from the top of his reserve deck. That'll spread Darkseid out even further. It's Corran Horn. Okay. Another character we hadn't seen yet much this game. Also gives him one more battleground, so he adds one more to his Diplo total. And quite a bit of power. So now Darthlink will need to Gick. Otherwise he's going to peel a bunch of overflow. Yeah, he exchanged first turn. He drew Chandrilla for Battle Destiny. Ouch. He never pulled Chandrilla and it's been floating through the deck the whole time, and he drew it for Battle Destiny. So it'll be Fet in 2. NoLimit does get to retrieve one, still wins the battle. And Darthlink's going to kick it anyway. Interesting. Usually you'd save the Gick. I mean, because the Gick is one of the 2 cards you'd be losing anyway. Usually you'll see people want to hold back a Gick for something that's at least like 4 to 5 overflow. Not just 2, but if he doesn't have anything else in his hand he wants to lose, he doesn't have anything else he wants to lose. Well, light side's down to just 1 card left in hand. And it could possibly be the card that he got with Nara off the top of his deck. If I were tracking a little bit better, maybe you guys know, because that may have been a Destiny draw at some point, we would know what card he just drew with Nara. Corran moves over to back up Bale. I expect at some point here, oh, he's going to imp command. A Grievous? Is there a Grievous in there he can get? Nope, no generals. No admirals to pull. But at least he can put a 4 somewhere so he can make sure he kills Leia this time. And NoLimit's going to draw a couple of cards. Now the question will remain, does he have a second copy of Force Lightning? He's going to verify his 2 Destinies. Darkside seems to be running out of characters. Lightside's running out of cards, but Darkside, it won't matter so much if Darkside runs out of characters as well. He's going to activate. He's going to check what that destiny is using the Endor Ops objective, so they both get a look at that card. And now we'll see just what exactly Darth Link has left up in his bag of tricks. U-3PO at the site where Corran Horn isn't. Okay. It's smart as long as he saves one force, just to keep moving away from Corran. He can should always be able to block a drain. Gravel Storm. Now who's old Steve? You're over here talking about trying to play Gravel Storm. I do expect at some point we will see Jyn Erso break cover and battle Maul here, with her adding 3 or 4 to the total. There's almost a guarantee that she clears Maul and probably doesn't take much overflow either. But I don't think that's going to happen for at least another turn or two. I'm sure NoLimit wants to kind of just grind the game down a little bit more before he makes a move like that, and gives Darth Link an opportunity to redeploy Maul. He's only got 17 left face down. He just has to get him down to 8, which is what he won the first game by. So for those of you expecting to see Silver Glen versus Spidey Guy this evening, that match was postponed until a later date, probably Monday or Tuesday. They asked for a short extension. Spidey Guy is traveling. He's on vacation this weekend, and Silver Glen was on vacation almost all of last week, so they really had conflicting schedules in terms of getting this game scheduled. Silver Glen had something else come up today that he had to postpone and reschedule their match that unfortunately conflicted with a prior engagement that Spidey Guy had. So they are still trying to figure out when to play game 2, and then hopefully sometime this weekend we'll get confirmation as to when Rebel Spy and Chris Kelly will be playing their match. They haven't played either game yet. Oh, Darth Link does have an answer. It's called Yasane Isard. She is the dark side version of Corran Horn. During your move phase, use 1 force to break cover of an undercover spy here. So now, Isard there can break Jin's cover, which kind of forces the action, but it just puts Jyn here, which just adds 1 more to his total. And then you have to try and figure, with the Cantina Shuffle, where are these guys going to move? Because Jyn could easily move out, or these guys could easily move in. It's probably a safer bet for Jyn to move out here, which may not necessarily need to, though. It might be safer just to stay in there, and now you've got 5 to your total. But you might want the 4 more power instead. And I guess the guarantee that if there's a second Force Lightning floating around, that Cornhorn doesn't get Force Lightninged and then Bale's stuck by himself. And Darthling's going to draw a couple cards. He's going to stack a 5. Or he tried to stack a 5. It got grabbed. So we've seen both players use their grabbers now. They still have plenty of time left on their clocks, though. They're both got about 27 minutes remaining, so we shouldn't see a timeout situation here to worry about yet. He top decked one early on in the game. There's a Hujik somewhere in his lost pile about halfway down. NoLimit lost it to an early drain. But he could have a second. They are both with 12 life force face down. Darthling has 6 extra cards in hand, though, although 2 of them are about to get lost to these upcoming drains. This one's going to be close. I would have expected not. You don't really. I haven't expected much else from these OCS playoff matchups. These are all great players playing decks that they feel very comfortable with, and that they've. You can almost say that they've tailor-made for their opponents. It's almost already 6:30 here. Wrap it up, guys. It's dinner time. Let's go. Alright, so NoLimit activates finally. He activates 9 and leaves 3 back. We'll see where he wants to battle this turn. I would think he'd want to battle in both spots. Battle with... But he may want to play it safe and just try and just clear one site. I don't think he'll move to Maul. I think he'd move Jin away. And then just try and just outpower everything. Darkseid. I mean, Emperor's completely immune. And he's got 10 forfeit between the shuttle and Iceheart. But he may want to just go for broke and battle in both spots and clear both sites. Oh. He activated the rest of it. He's not going to battle anywhere. Alright, so we get a Force Push from hand. We get a Saber 1 from hand by Darth Link. He does move Jin over. And he drops Obi for backup. We'll see if he wants to exchange now those 2 cards he's got left in hand for anything out of his lost pile. Goes Cornhorn over. I assume Darthlink will move U3PO away. And he does. Moves U3PO to Mos Eisley. And in doing so concedes an additional drain of 2 now. And NoLimit's going to draw a couple of cards. There are 4 shields in play for NoLimit. I don't think he played perimeter scan. I think those are the 4 shields that he's used. Maul could use the saber and drain for 4 then in the cantina. There could possibly be an It's a Hit floating around somewhere though that would cancel that. He's going to all wings to shuffle, put a 5 back. He only has 1 force left, so it could be worse, but not necessarily be enough. Emperor looks for a Force Lightning, gets to verify what that card is. And he will drain for 2 in the cantina, but does he want to add to the drain and make it a drain of 4? He does not, and it does get hit with It's a Hit and cancel, as we had just suspected. And I guess we're looking at what Darthlink has left. Now he's looking at being drained 4 a turn. Really can only hold off on that for 2, maybe 3 turns before he runs out of enough force to continue to pay to drain. With his opponent being able to loop the It's a Hit potentially around to keep canceling said drain. Well, he'll at least pick off one guy here, Dooku. And a decent Destiny picks off Nara. And he'll add 1 to it to make it a 6, potentially keeping Lightside from winning the battle, plus also just putting another card back. He drew a second It's a Hit. So he's got 2 It's a Hit left in his remaining 10 cards. So Maul force draining is probably out of the question at this point. Both guys clear though. Darkseid does win the battle. Oh, it's Queso. Thanks for joining us, buddy. Oh, and you made more donations too. That's the other thing, guys. Obviously, if you have a Twitch Prime account, you'll see that subscribe button in the top right corner. Don't forget to click that while you're there. You do have to refresh that on a monthly basis. Subscribing to the PC gives the Players Committee a couple of bucks, and it's free for you if you have Amazon Prime. Gives you a Twitch Prime thing. So just keep remembering to click that each month, and we definitely appreciate that. Oh, and Darthlink is going to go ahead and concede. He is out of options at this point. No ways to win to do enough damage. NoLimit weathered the storm and just grinded out the rest of the game. And congratulations to both on a well-played match, and to NoLimit for advancing. We'll go ahead and update the bracket. Yeah, he hit him hard and fast early, but then just kind of ran out of characters and kept finding them for Battle Destiny. Let's go ahead and update the bracket. Yeah, you got here just in time to see the end of the game, and yeah, and Leia being able to survive some of those low destinies. So we will go ahead and we will advance No Limit to the next round. All right, so let's look at the bracket now. We've got 6 of the 8 matches completed. Spidey Guy, and Silver Glen are going to play their game, we think, probably Monday or Tuesday. Be a short extension past the window due to scheduling conflicts. Hopefully they can find time over the weekend, but that's probably seeming less likely based on what I've heard from both of them. And then we've got our Rebel Spy, Chris Kelly, who will meet the winner. The winner of that match will meet No Limit, so I'm sure he's got a vested interest in how that game plays out. They have yet to play either of their 2 games, so hopefully they will get those scheduled this weekend, and we'll have some more Star Wars for you to stream. Yeah, no, as I just said, okay, so haven't gotten to it yet, but when they do, I'll be sure and let you know. So obviously, if you're around and available, want to do some more commentary. Otherwise, people can just listen to me some more. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to wrap this up. Thank you guys again very much for joining in and watching. And we'll get the file also moved over to YouTube, so it will be saved there permanently. And